If you struggle with shyness or social anxiety, check out our free No BS training course with actual useful advice you can do from home. None of that just get out there nonsense. The link is in the description below. For now, let's get to today's question.
The question, social anxiety. What did you think before you got out of your shyness? Yup. I know exactly what you are going through. I have been there. Overcoming shyness and social anxiety can be really difficult. But I can also tell you that there is a way to do it. I myself went from being too shy to talk to strangers, let alone ask girls out on a date, to finally courting and marrying a Miss World contestant. I don't mean to brag, just to prove that you can go from totally shy to something completely different. So here is what you can do, based on what I did. 1. Make a conscious decision to change. It will take effort. And it can be hard sometimes. But if you commit yourself to it, shyness and social anxiety can definitely be overcome. 2. Change your inner voice. Challenge your own thinking about yourself. Is your shyness caused by low self-esteem? Is your inner voice incessantly speaking to you in a negative voice, saying things like you are not good enough? Are you constantly criticizing yourself with negative thoughts? Are you constantly running scenarios in your head about all the things that could go wrong when you would finally step out of your comfort zone? If this is what happens to you too, then deal with those thoughts. In this article, The Ultimate Guide to Stop Worrying and Start Living Confident Habits, I explain several techniques on how to change such thoughts, using techniques such as CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, and mindfulness that you can use. 3. Experiment. It is all good to talk about overcoming shyness and social anxiety. But at a certain point, you have to actually start doing it. Use what therapists call behavioral experiments. These experiments are meant to test your own beliefs about yourself by gathering supporting data. Say, for example, that your social anxiety is self-reinforcing because you always think people act as if you are not good enough. Then start testing that in a behavioral experiment. Define your hypothesis. What do you want the experiment to prove or disprove? For example, your hypothesis could be, if I go out in public, I will be so nervous that people will laugh at me. Set up an experiment to actually test this hypothesis. For example, you could go out and ask people for directions. Gather data, go do the experiment, ask people for directions, and look at the outcome. What actually happened? What facts do you see from people's responses that either prove or disprove your hypothesis? Look at the data and your initial hypothesis. Does the actual outcome from the data support your initial hypothesis? What did you learn about yourself? You will most likely find that your thoughts about yourself were incorrect. The power of these experiments is that it not only breaks down further negative self-thoughts, they will also allow yourself to instill much more positive thinking and a more open attitude. 4. Change your fear behavior. It is all good to take a good rational look about your social anxiety, your shyness and your thoughts about yourself. But it definitely isn't enough. You see, you may perfectly understand rationally that no one will bite your head off when you step out of your comfort zone. But still, fear may keep you from it. Fear is driven by the subconscious. It is controlled by the prehistoric part of the brain that takes care of your fight or flight response. And because fear responses come from the subconscious, this prehistoric part of your brain, there is no way you can talk your fear away. But what you can do is reprogram it. I know this sounds extremely wishy-washy, but stay with me. Using techniques such as hypnosis, self-hypnosis and NLP, you can reprogram yourself to respond differently. To reduce the emotional impact of the fear so you can actually respond differently. In fact, if done properly, your fears can be turned around completely into motivating, driving forces. The latter part, changing your fear behavior, is extremely important to put it all together. It is also difficult to complex to cover in a short Quora answer. I will definitely be writing more about this. Alert. Shameless self-promotion coming up at https://confidenthabits.com. Find more answers and a free audiobook on how to talk to anyone in the description below. No useless advice like just get out there. I mean actual useful advice from people who have really dealt with shyness and social anxiety and overcome it in their own lives.